What if the greatest winter survival secret in North American history had nothing to do with staying warm? For centuries, explorers, soldiers, and settlers entered the North American wilderness, convinced they understood cold.
They carried thick blankets. They wore heavy coats. They built massive fires. Yet many never survived the winter.
Meanwhile, indigenous peoples traveled through blizzards, crossed frozen landscapes, and thrived in conditions that outsiders considered impossible. Their advantage wasn't strength. It was knowledge.
Long before modern science explained insulation, wind chill, or heat loss, Native Americans had already mastered a sophisticated system of winter survival.
The knowledge we pass down ensures our survival.
Every skill is learned, every item crafted with purpose.
Work together as part of a larger strategy. And remarkably, many of those same principles are still used today by Arctic explorers and survival experts.
Because the greatest lesson they learned was also the most unexpected. The deadliest enemy of winter was often not the cold itself. The invisible enemy, inside every blizzard. Most people imagine winter survival as a battle against temperature.
Native Americans understood that temperature was only one part of the equation. A dry day at -20 degrees Fahrenheit could be more comfortable than a wet day just above freezing.
Modern physics explains why. Water removes heat from the human body dramatically faster than air. Once clothing becomes damp, insulation begins to fail. Warm air trapped inside fabric is replaced by moisture, and the body starts losing energy at an alarming rate.
Indigenous hunters learned this lesson generations before thermometers existed. The goal was never simply staying warm. The goal was staying dry.
This principle influenced every aspect of life. A hunter who began sweating during a long journey might deliberately slow his pace. Someone carrying a heavy load could remove layers before overheating. Preventing sweat was often more important than fighting cold, because once moisture entered the system, winter gained a powerful ally. The same principle explains why many early European travelers struggled. Heavy garments often trapped moisture. Once soaked, they became burdens rather than protection.
Native survival methods approached the problem from an entirely different direction. Instead of trapping maximum heat, they focused on regulating heat, and that required materials unlike anything Europeans had ever seen, the ancient material that behaved like modern technology. To an outsider, a deer hide shirt looked primitive. In reality, it represented centuries of engineering. The creation of smoked buckskin was one of the most remarkable material technologies.
The process began with carefully cleaning an animal hide. It was then treated using oils derived from animal tissues. But the real transformation happened during smoking. The hide was suspended above slow-burning wood for hours. Smoke penetrated deep into the fibers. Modern chemistry shows that compounds in wood smoke help stabilize collagen structures. The result was extraordinary. Ordinary leather stiffened. Smoked buckskin remained flexible. Ordinary garments became uncomfortable after rain. Smoked buckskin continued functioning. Even more importantly, it breathed. Moisture generated by the body could escape. This prevented the dangerous buildup of condensation inside clothing. Thousands of years before waterproof, breathable fabrics existed, indigenous peoples had developed a remarkably effective natural alternative.
But the material itself was only part of a larger design. The true genius appeared in how those garments were worn.
The clothing system that controlled climate. Most modern winter clothing works by creating layers. Warmth comes primarily from trapped air. Still air acts as an insulator. Moving air removes heat. The challenge is controlling both.
Traditional clothing systems often included separate leggings, shirts, robes, and outer layers that could be adjusted throughout the day. This flexibility allowed a hunter to react instantly to changing conditions. A steep climb required ventilation. A sudden wind demanded insulation. A rest stop required another adjustment. The body became a dynamic system rather than a static bundle of clothing. Loose-fitting garments preserved circulation. Blood could continue reaching fingers and toes. At the same time, air pockets remained intact. Many indigenous clothing systems function surprisingly similarly to modern layering strategies used by mountaineers and polar travelers. But even the best clothing had one weakness: the ground. And nowhere was that threat greater than beneath a person's feet. Why dry grass could save your life? The secret that shocked many European observers was not fur, it was grass.
Moccasins remain one of the most misunderstood pieces of indigenous technology. Their soft construction allowed natural foot, but the real innovation was hidden inside. Dry grass, moss, plant fibers, bison wool. These materials created insulating air pockets while absorbing moisture from sweat. As soon as they became damp, they could be removed and replaced.
This solved a problem that continues to challenge modern winter footwear: moisture accumulation. A boot wet on the inside
Native Americans addressed this issue with renewable insulation available almost everywhere. Many travelers carried extra material specifically for replacement.
Foot care. Foot care became a daily ritual. Warm feet meant mobility, and survival often depended upon.
The engineering hidden inside the tipi. Few structures are more iconic than the tipi, yet most people never realize how. The shape itself was a masterpiece of aerodynamic engineering. Strong winds flowed around the conical structure rather than crashing directly into flat walls.
This reduced stress and improved stability. Inside, another innovation appeared. A secondary liner created an insulating.
Cold air entered low, warm air rose, smoke exited through adjustable openings at the top. The result was a carefully controlled circulation system.
Families could maintain surprisingly comfortable conditions even during severe weather.
But shelter alone was never enough, because winter demanded another critical resource: fire. Why bigger fires often made people colder? One of the most common mistakes inexperienced travelers made was building enormous fires. It seems logical. More flames should mean more warmth. Reality is more complicated. Large fires create uneven heating. The front of the body becomes overheated, while the back remains exposed to freezing air.
Heat is wasted. Fuel consumption skyrockets. Native Americans' smaller, controlled fires.
Even more ingenious was their use of heated stones. Rocks placed near flames absorbed thermal energy, wrapped and positioned strategically. Long after flames died, the stones continued releasing warmth. This simple technology transformed sleeping conditions during winter nights.
Yet warmth alone could not sustain life. The body itself required fuel, and indigenous peoples possessed one of the most.
The food that powered entire expeditions. Cold demands calories, every breath, every step, every heartbeat.
All require energy. Indigenous peoples understood this intuitively. Winter diets shifted heavily toward fat and protein.
Among the most important foods was pemmican, made from dried meat, rendered fat, and sometimes berries.
It could last for years. It traveled easily, and it provided a dense source of energy during periods of extreme exertion.
Later, fur traders, explorers, and Arctic expeditions would come to depend on it. Many historians consider pemmican one of.
It transformed stored animal energy into portable human endurance. But physical fuel was only half the equation.
The greatest battles against winter often occurred inside the mind, the psychology of not freezing. Fear accelerates mistakes.
Panic wastes energy. Despair destroys judgment. Indigenous survival culture recognized these realities.
Children learned resilience from an early age. Observation replaced panic. Preparation replaced fear.
Knowledge reduced uncertainty. Winter was dangerous. But danger became manageable when understood. Groups constantly monitored one another for signs of exhaustion, frostbite, or confusion.
Have you seen her tonight?
She's in the corner.
Community acted as a survival technology every bit as important as clothing or shelter. A tribe's collective knowledge dramatically increased the odds of survival.
And perhaps the most powerful tool of all was something impossible to carry: experience. Reading nature like a survival manual. Before weather forecasts existed, the environment itself provided information. Experienced hunters studied.
These clues often revealed approaching storms long before they arrived. This predictive ability provided precious time. Time to gather fuel, time to build shelter, time to alter travel plans. Modern meteorology relies on instruments.
Traditional knowledge relied on observation. Different methods, same goal, reducing uncertainty.
The better someone understood the landscape, the less likely they were to be surprised by it. And perhaps that understanding represents the greatest lesson of all, the forgotten science of survival. When modern people imagine survival, they often picture a lone individual battling nature. The indigenous peoples of North America viewed survival differently. Nature was not an enemy. It was a system. The goal was not conquest. The goal was understanding. Everything reflected this philosophy. Clothing worked with moisture rather than trapping it. Shelters worked with airflow rather than fighting it.
Diet worked with biology rather than against it. Knowledge worked with experience rather than replacing it. For thousands of years, this approach allowed people to thrive in environments that many outsiders considered uninhabitable.
Their success was not based on a single invention. It was based on countless interconnected ideas, refined across generations.
And perhaps that is the most remarkable achievement of all. They transformed survival from a desperate struggle into a way of life. Native American winter survival was never just about enduring the cold. It was about understanding it.
Long before modern outdoor gear, indigenous peoples mastered principles that survival experts still rely on today.
Their greatest tool was not clothing, fire, or shelter. It was knowledge. Because nature rewards those who understand its rules and punishes those who ignore them. Centuries later, these lessons remain as relevant as ever. Technology evolves. Human survival does not.
At Dark Origins, we uncover the forgotten skills, hidden technologies, and remarkable wisdom that allowed people to thrive where others could not. What ancient survival secret surprised you most? And what lost knowledge should we explore next? Leave your thoughts below.
Keep your eyes on that ridge. We're almost there.
I see it. Let's go.
The trail lies ahead. It's not far now. We must keep moving before the sun sets. Yes, lead the way. The trail lies ahead, beyond the frozen peaks. We must continue this way.
The misting door.
Yes, the blizzard is coming.